but for yourself, who is one of the greatest three-point shooters that we've seen in this league, who do you rank in your top 5 three-point shooters to come through this league?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Steph is first.
I respect that.
Everybody else is way down the list to me. In no particular order. The other 4, it's Clay, Kyle Korver, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller. To me, those are the guys. Because when we talk about great shooters, I don't want to disparage the previous iteration of three-point shooters in the 80s or the 90s. But those guys were not shooting the shots we take today. Those guys were not taking the difficult shots we were taking, nor were they shooting it at the volume. So yes, a guy like Tim Legler, great shooter. He shot, I think, 55.6% one year to lead the league. But he wasn't shooting the shots Clay was shooting. He's not shooting the shots Kyle Korver was shooting. And that's not a knock on Tim. It was a different game, and the game has evolved. And now we put such a premium on generating three-point looks. Mm-hmm. It's not just about the quality of the look. It's the volume of looks. If Steph Curry, and Tom Haberstroh always talks about this, I think Steph's up to like 15, almost 15 a game this year. Yeah. Tom's always been like, Steph needs to shoot 20 a game. Because you do the math on that, those 20 shots equal about 27 points on average. Yeah. On average.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny because I was talking to Bob Myers a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me, like, Steph's three-point shots are getting up, but all of my analytical guys tell me, every time I ask him, like, how many threes was Steph at a game? He said, all my analytical guys, they tell me, well, he's getting up there, but we need him at 20 a game. I'm like, number one, 23-point shots a game. That is brutal on the body, man.
Yes. And he's already putting in enough work to get his shot off, to get his clips off.
Absolutely. And that's a lot of work on the body, but I think it is very interesting of where we see the league going. I remember going back to my first 2, 3 years, 4 years in the league. Everybody's like, they're a jump shooting team. You can never win that way. Right. You can never win shooting jump shots. And within 1 year, we went from like taking the most threes to like 16th in the league because everybody's like, oh man, we need to take more threes. So it's been very interesting to see that growth in the game. But something you just said really hit home with me, and comparing the older generation to the newer generation and how the game actually worked. Because you see all the numbers of Steph passing Reggie Miller and going to pass Ray Allen, showing that he's done it in like half the amount of games. And it's going to be interesting because, as you just said, and I agree, Steph,
the way he goes about things, I don't want to disrespect any other shooter as someone who's not a shooter myself, but I think Steph is like in a farly different category than anyone else just because of the difficulty of shots. He's shooting them off the dribble. He's shooting them off the catch. He's shooting them off the spot. He's shooting them from 30 feet out each and every time he shoots the ball. But when you look at a guy like Trae Young, a guy like Donovan Mitchell, these guys who's come into the league taking threes at this rate from the very beginning of their career, they're going to pass Steph's number in 500 games. And yet I don't think that's necessarily going to tell the story of Steph being the greatest shooter alive and greatest shooter ever. But yeah, he changed the game. Like, what's your take on that?
Well, so I was going to bring this up when you were talking earlier just about your first few years and them saying jump shooting teams can't win. When I look at the evolution of the three-point shot, the two teams I think of that sort of started this were the Phoenix Suns with Steve Nash and Quentin Richardson, Joe Johnson, Sean Marion, and then my Orlando Magic teams, which by accident we ended up starting Richard and Turk together because Tony Battie hurt his shoulder in training camp. So we were 4 out, 1 in with Dwight. If you look at the numbers of those teams would be at the bottom of the league right now in three-point attempts. Yeah, bottom of the league. To your point about Trae and Donovan and just really the next generation of players, I'm 15th right now in three-pointers made all time, right? Which is crazy. In 10 years, I'll be outside the top 50 probably. I'm being realistic on that. I mean, it's the volume is so different now. The other thing I would say about Steph, to your point about him, the shots he takes, my bag generally was coming to my right shoulder, left, right plant. You know this. Everything was run on the left side, me coming left, right plant, shooting over that shoulder, away from the defense so they couldn't bother my shot. All right. Then alpha DHOs and sort of step up pick and rolls, a 1 or 2 dribble pull up 3. That was my bag, right? Kyle Korver, a lot of the same, right? Clay, a lot of the same.
Absolutely.
Reggie, a lot of the same. Ray Allen, to a degree, had some off the dribble bounce, but at the end of his career, when he was shooting a lot of threes, a lot of the same. Steph, it's everywhere. The only guy that shoots it even remotely like Steph, and I'm not saying one's better than the other, or that he's that far behind Steph, is Dame.
Yes.
Dame is the only guy to me that in some way emulates what Steph does from the 3-point line.